Welcome back to Carolina This Week. Joining me now is Dick Withington, a Republican running for the 7th Congressional District. Thanks a lot for being with me this morning, Mr. Withington.
Thanks for inviting me.
First question for you. You know it. I ask everybody, why are you running?
Well, since I moved here 10 years ago, I've been involved in politics. I follow the news, and particularly in the last 6 months, it's been obvious that we're in a financial crisis, and it's on the verge of getting worse. This last failure to reach accord on by the super committee was characterized by the chief economist at one of the Pittsburgh banks as we're on the road to suicide, and we've chosen not to get off. I've got some background in economics and in business for 30 years and believe that I can bring a constructive voice and work on solving some of these problems. And really, we have two problems. And unfortunately, the solution is diametrically opposed. I'll give the example of somebody that needs surgery. And we know what the surgery is, but the patient is too weak to do the surgery. And to follow the analysis, we have a serious debt problem, but at the same time, we've got a slow economy with bad unemployment. We can solve the debt problem by cutting spending and raising taxes, just as a local mayor would do. But if we do that, we'll kill the economy, we'll increase unemployment, and actually the revenues that we need to satisfy the debt will actually go down. So I'm hoping that if I'm elected, I'll be able to bring some reason to the conversation. I hear some solutions which are actually harmful. And I think at a minimum, we need to get some economists to hold some training sessions in the morning for some of these congressmen, but not all of them, but some of the ones that you hear on television.
The first time I met you, you were running for the 1st Congressional District seat.
2 years ago.
And you were running as a Democrat.
Yes.
What's changed in 2 years?
Well, Henry Brown. The reason I ran 2 years ago was that I was seeing that Henry Brown was becoming less and less effective. He really, I think, age had caught up with him. He was 73 years old, I think, at the time. And Linda Kettner almost beat him. And I saw this as an opportunity to give the voters a choice as far as who it would be. I agree with Henry on a number of things, and I commend Henry for, he's one of the few Republicans that had the courage to vote for the TARP. We needed that, and he made a patriotic decision that his party didn't really go for. So that's really what it was about. I've mostly been a Republican all my life, and that's where I'm more comfortable. Most of my friends are Republicans, so that's where we are today.
Well, a lot of people would disagree with you. A lot of your fellow Republicans would disagree with you on the TARP money. You still believe that
Absolutely.
that was...
We were on the verge of a major financial collapse. Remember, the stock market was down low. It went lower. I mean, it's just unimaginable what would have happened if some of these major banks had failed. It just, they talked today that bailing out Lehman Brothers was not bailing out Lehman Brothers was a huge mistake. And certainly we needed to do what was done at that time. And you talk to any responsible economist or even some strong Republicans like Jack Welch of GE, Warren Buffett, they'll tell you that it had to be done. It wasn't popular, but just like bailing out the automobile industry, it wasn't popular at the time. Now it looks like one of the smartest things we ever did. We're going to make a profit on that deal.
Something that's very popular on the Grand Strand is I-73 and the idea of getting an interstate to Myrtle Beach. Again,
Right.
Something that you kind of run in the face of. You're not 100% behind it.
I am a big fan of interstates. In Atlanta, we had them all over the place. Saw a lot of great things. It's been in planning for 25 years. I've looked at the route. My major concern is the route and that it won't be used. If you talk to the DOT people, they'll tell you, well, no, you really wouldn't use 73 to go over to Columbia. It's the route for our travelers and tourists and visitors. Well, I'm one of those that travels north by car quite a bit. And I take the route up, now that we've got 31 completed, I take that route and go up through Chadbourn and up 74. And by the way, if you come down I-75, first thing that happens at the welcome station is you get a little note about the directions to Myrtle Beach. And if you'll notice on there, they're routing their southbound traffic down through North Carolina, down 40 through Wilmington, And of course, now that we've got 31 built, I think if we could extend 31 over to 17, it's only about 10 miles, we'd have an all-interstate route 295 that would benefit our northern travelers. Now, there are other uses and so forth. I'm also concerned about the environmental impact, but another big concern, I wrote about this in the paper, is there are only so many highway dollars. And we have other needs in South Carolina. We've got one of the lowest taxes, so our maintenance is low. And if we put all our eggs in the I-73 basket, which wouldn't even start for 5 years, might not be built for 10, we're going to lose out on other things. So I would love to sit down with Alan and Brad over at the chamber and go through it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there really is. But Tom Rice is wrong when he talks about it paying off in 4 years. There's no way. We don't even have the appropriate economic development on 31 or 22 yet. And if you drive up along 95, there are a lot of empty buildings along that way too. So there's a long way to go on I-73, and I think we need to rediscuss it.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about some more of the national issues, but I also want to talk about a few things that you're proposing if you're elected. Okay. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Carolina This Week. Dick Withington, Republican, running for the 7th Congressional District seat, is my guest. I want to talk about a couple proposals that you have, some things that you say that you'll do if you're elected. One of them involves savings bonds.
That's right. One of the things that a lot of seniors here are aware of is these invitations to a lot of the financial seminars, because the returns on saving, we've got a lot of savers. And it's very frustrating now for people that have been good savers and have been happy with a 5% return of the bank, can't get that anymore. It's something like 0.6%. The banks are embarrassed to tell you what it is. So I'm proposing a U.S. savings bond for seniors, people that are on Medicare, let's say. And it would pay 5%. It would be limited to, per se, $300,000 total, but it would give our seniors something that they felt like would be good for them, that they wouldn't go off on these scams, and also it would be good for the government, because these funds would be it would be a benefit to people, and yet these funds would be going into the government, and they wouldn't be redeemed generally for 7 years. And by that time, hopefully, the economy will be better. And the second idea is one that I have proposed in the past that several of the legislators know of, and that's the high premiums on our hurricane insurance. And the main reason for that is that the insurance companies are taxed on these annual surpluses when they don't have to pay out the claims, and that's been going on for years. Well, if we can allow the insurance companies to put more of that money into a fund or a reserve fund, then that will reduce the premiums and frankly make the value of your house more, something we're all interested in. So those are a couple of ideas. The way I approach things is, I was thinking, you know, what are some of the problems that we have, and then I think, what can we do to solve these problems? And I think all great inventors start with a problem. I like to look at problems and try to think up solutions.
The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. All troops are supposed to be out of Iraq by the end of the year. Afghanistan's moving in the same way. There have been deadlines set on that. What do you think about moving troops out? Should we stay there? Is the job done?
Well, I was a naval officer during the Vietnam War, and fortunately for me, I didn't get close to the action. I was very safe. Now we're trading with Vietnam. We're buying things there. Nike's making sneakers there. A lot of the doomsday domino theory, none of that ever happened. I'm thinking the Taliban was feted at George Bush's ranch when he was governor in Texas. So I think that I think we should get out. I think John Huntsman is right. I think Ron Paul is right. I think we should get out as soon as we can, leave some kind of a support force there. Basically tell them, if you leave us alone when it comes to terrorism, we'll leave you alone. And that seems to work throughout the world and in human relations. And so, you know, I think if terrorism raises its head, we've got all kinds of ways to squash it. And I don't think we need 100,000 troops, and I don't think we need to rebuild countries. We need to rebuild this country.
Last question for you. Why should I vote for you?
Well, when you're hiring somebody, I think what you want to do is find the most effective person for that job. And I think that for this particular race and at this particular time, I am that person. And there's 5 reasons. First of all, I've got a degree in economics and I understand economics. We've got a big economic problem. I've got a long career in business. I understand how that works. We need to get business investing more. I think there are ways to do that. I'm an original thinker, and we need that. I gave you some examples with the bond and on the premium. Being a veteran, I think, is good. Only 22% now, it's the lowest since World War II, of our Congress people are veterans that know how things work, that can talk intelligently when the military people come up with their dog and pony shows, we used to call it. I can deal with that. But the most important thing, I think, is demeanor and outlook. I've always been an assertive person. I'm used to pushing my ideas when I've got something, and I think that I can do that. I'll be about the same age as some of the committee chairmen up there in Washington. So with that said, I'm asking folks to circle June 12th on their calendar next year and give me your vote, and I'll do you a good job.
All right. Dick Withington, Republican for the 7th Congressional District seat. Thanks for joining me this morning.